Welcome back. The housing market has been a hot commodity for a number of years. Question is, will it remain so? That's why we have these two gentlemen with us to answer that question, but to get answers to a lot of questions. And before the break, we were talking about a couple of things, and Rich, we said we were going to let you answer or sort of rebut what Lee had to say, and that had to do with the 6-year number and also some things with renters.
Okay. I think it's important to define long-term. After the last housing boom, if you had bought at the peak of the last housing boom, it would have taken you 8 years to recoup your equity. That's a pretty long time. And that housing boom, by the way, looked absolutely feeble compared to the housing boom we just had. So I just think it's really important to define what long-term is. Although I do agree that in the long term, of course, real estate goes up. The other thing regarding rentals is I absolutely agree that there is a premium to owning versus renting. There always has been, and there should be, because owning is a lot better than renting. However, that premium has grown enormously in the last several years, and that's what you have to wonder about. Why are people willing to pay so much more to own than rent now versus, for instance, the difference 5 years ago?
Right. And you know, I myself am a renter and struggle with thinking, am I ever going to be able to own in this market?
Well, interestingly enough, there are some numbers. According to the San Diego Association of Governments, SANDAG, as you probably have heard about, SANDAG has indicated that we need about 107,000 more homes than we currently have. Well, I don't want to get into a big discussion about supply and demand, and because I know Rich has indicated his thoughts on supply and demand and whether it does affect prices. I think if you've taken Economics 101, you know that when there's a shortage and there's demand, there's going to be an increase in prices. So really the question is, what kind of market do we have today? Well, SANDAG indicates that there are about 1.1 million housing units in San Diego. And of those, interestingly enough, the estimate is that 59% are owner-occupied. So that leaves 41% that are renters. Well, if you take 59%, that's about 650,000 owner-occupied homes. There are approximately 25,000 homes on the market today. That's only 3% of the housing inventory that's on the market.
It's also a record inventory.
To me, that doesn't sound like a lot. Now, it's high compared to what was available in '04, but we've got a growing economy, and as I've indicated, SANDAG says we still need 107,000 more.
That's a little disturbing, I think.
That we need more housing?
I don't know. It's just tough to figure that even with this need for more housing and housing continuing to go up, that we've got people that, you know, are going to be able to buy these homes that are being built. Yeah,
I think Rich has pointed out correctly that one of the anomalies that we have in our market is that the affordability index indicates that there are some areas of San Diego County where it's really tough for people to buy. The North San Diego Association of Realtors has a great publication. It's called the Home Dex.
Right.
It's available to anybody that wants it. And what we were lucky enough to do, because I'm on the board of directors of that association, we were lucky enough to find Professor Bob Brown at California State University at San Marcos. And every month, he does an analysis of North County and San Diego for us. And for example, down in San Diego, or I'll use Fallbrook.
Okay.
In Fallbrook, the affordability index for attached homes was 33%. In Carlsbad, it was 9%. So when you talk about San Diego, if you're thinking about buying, what you've really got to do is look, where am I going to buy?
Sure.
Find somebody in that market that really knows the market, get them to consult with you, and you may find that in fact houses are affordable.
Now I want to give Rich an opportunity though to answer some of the things that you've said, and there was something you were getting ready to say, I think.
Well, I think that the whole housing shortage idea is kind of part of the San Diego mythos that the people have created to justify why home prices have gone up. But it doesn't actually really square with the data. For one thing, the Census Bureau data shows that more people have actually moved out since 2003 than moved into San Diego, probably because of unaffordable housing. So when you have people moving out, if there was a shortage before, it's certainly getting better.
Well,
but the other thing is,
you need to take into consideration not only the in-migration or out-migration, but also the births.
Right.
Well, I mean,
And so
I'm sure.
hold on.
Well, I have to stop you for a moment.
sure,
I wanted to allow him to go ahead and finish his
Okay.
comment, and then we'll let you comment.
Now, I'm sure Lee would like for babies to buy houses, but the population growing because of births, I don't think they're going to get the loans. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
what
But
I'm
their parents are. And when families have babies, they start
Perhaps.
looking for houses.
Right.
all right. I just you can't separate the concept of shortage or surplus from price. There's a shortage at a price, but there might not be a shortage at another price. Right now, the amount of trouble people are having selling houses indicates that there is no shortage at current house prices.
Okay. All right. I'm being yelled at. I've got to wrap up, but we're not done yet. You gentlemen stay right where you are. And you stay where you are, too. We're not done. Stick with us.
You're watching Take 5 on KSWB 5.
All right, I'm told we have to wrap things up, but gentlemen, I have to ask both of you. I recall in 1990 when housing really seemed to take a dive, and I'm going to guess that might have been a bubble then. If housing is slowing now, I'm going to ask you first, Rich, are we going to see a drop in housing prices like we did see then?
Yes, I believe we will. The boom leading up to the 90s housing bust was actually quite small compared to the current boom. And, you know, affordability and just home prices never got quite as crazy back then as they have now. Combine that with the fact that so many people have these risky loans that are going to reset to higher payments, which could force a lot of people to sell, with the fact that our economy has become somewhat dependent on the housing boom, as so many people have gone into the real estate industry and as so many people have pulled money out of their houses to just, you know, spend in the local economy. Combining all those factors, I think that we'll see a downturn that is at least as bad as we saw in the early 90s.
Okay, Lee, I have to ask you the same question.
Yeah, I don't happen to agree.
Okay.
Because the circumstances were so much different in the 90s out here. I lived in Colorado at the time, but we kept track of what was going on in San Diego because we had gone through that drop earlier than here in California. And a lot of people from Colorado were moving out to California at that time because the market here wasn't that bad, and then all of a sudden it dropped. But that was a time when there was a big aircraft industry here. There were some industries that absolutely folded because of the economy. Now, we don't have that kind of downturn in the economy, in the general economy, that we had back in the 90s. So while I think there's going to be a correction of some kind, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the dramatic drop that we had back in the 90s.
All right, I'm going to have to let that be the last word. And gentlemen, we didn't even get to one of the topics I wanted to talk about, which was the exotic mortgages. So I have a feeling I'm going to have you both back. I hope you'll agree to come back.
Sure.
Be happy to be back.
All right, thank you so much. Well, up next, we'll be switching gears, talking about an issue affecting 1 out of 8 families in San Diego County. Stay with us.
Take 5 will be back in a moment on KSWB 560.